Hello, everyone, and now we are making live our Dify 101, another new episode. And today we'll be focusing on resume screening, and this will help you to unlock the new way of hiring today. And without further ado, here's your speakers, and let's give a warm applause to Shani. So, Shani, say hi to our audience. And
Hi.
Mhm.
Thank you for
So,
introducing me, Em.
So, Shani, what are you going to show us today? Just a quick sneak peek here.
Today, we're going to try to make resume screening a little bit easier for HR specialists. So, we're going to go through what exactly you need to know in order to be a really good prompt engineer and to work with Diffy workflows to make your life just a little bit easier.
And different from Shani, obviously, she has like the coding background. But for me, I'm totally a non coder. Like, I can barely read and copy and paste and ruin everything. But today I'm also sharing my workflow, like drag and drop, connecting the blocks together without writing a single line of code. And here I will also share with you a resume summarization, AI agent, or AI assistant. And no matter where you're tuning in, feel free to say hi in the chat box. And I will give Shani a moment to take a rest and make some final touches on her workflow while I'm going to introduce everyone about housekeeping and some information about Dify. So, Shani, see you later.
Bye.
As for the agenda today, so first there will be housekeeping, and there are some notes for you that you need to know before we officially begin. And second, if you're new to Dify, you can have a quick general view, understand how Dify can help. And then there will be two demos. I'll present the first one for a beginner level without writing a single line of code, a resume summarization AI assistant. Then Jenny will bring her resume screening, like for the batch resume screening AI assistant, along with the prompt engineering that helps you to make a better instructions for AI to understand. Then there will be Q&A and what's next, and there will be some sneak peek of what's coming next for Dify. And for the housekeeping, so first thing is about a Q&A. If you have questions, you can post them directly in the YouTube chat, and we will take care of it in the Q&A session. And of course, we have already received some questions when you're signing up for the webinars, and we'll take care of some of them in the Q&A session. So please make sure you stay there and feel free to talk to us. No matter you are new to AI, or you're working as a recruiter, or you might have some coding or other problems when using Dify. We'll try our best to solve your problems. And for the second one, the recording. Yes, this session is being fully recorded, and the replay link will be sent to you in an exclusive link via email after we finish. And last but not least, about the demo DSL. The DSL is a file that you can use it, you can export in Dify when finishing create your workflow or chat flow. Then you export it, make it as a backup, or share with other people so that they can open it in Dify right away. These are like the two demos we are making for this webinars. We have already packed them in a resource pack, and you will receive them in the email later, right after we finish this webinar. So, what is Dify? I've already attached a screenshot here. This is a workflow screenshot that obviously showing that we are making it in the Dify studio. You can build AI agents, agentic workflow, chat flow, chatbot, and content generation with various node, reg pipelines, plugins with full observability in Dify. And we offer self-host, the open source version, SaaS, the today, and the enterprise version. And this is like a bird view graph or for Dify. You can build and design in Dify with drag and drops or coding. And if you're a beginner for AI or Dify, you can use the pre-made templates. And also you can connect with different large language models in one place, switching and comparing their performance. things like that. And besides, there are also rag pipelines so that you can connect your data into Dify easily, so that you can build based on your knowledge data. Well, feel free to explore in Dify by yourself. And before we officially begin, we've done a research in the company by asking the human resources department, like, what's their workflow of resume screening and what are the pain points? So I believe most of the recruiters or experts working in human resource department kind of following this routine. You read a resume and you look for the keyword matching, searching for like education, company, tech stack, experience, and project. And then you take out this keyword, put them in the Google search, and then read, understand, digest, or maybe switch another result to check. And then doing this for I don't know how many times, but that's pretty consuming. And then after receiving this information, you compare with the job description, and then you made the decision to make it a rejection or made a phone call. So that is why we are here today. These are the pain points that we've collected from the Human Resources Department. So the first thing is about the context gap. Like, not every recruiter understands every demand from different department, especially there is a background gap here. That's why there is a missing of the context, and they're not sure, they cannot understand if the candidate is a fit with enough context. And then the second thing is the detail trap, so that they have to spend hours parsing complex project descriptions to verify skill depth. And no mention that there are new words or terms during the searching part. And of course, we've also asked them about their expectation when we're trying to build these workflows or AI assistants. The first thing is snapshots, to have a clear and easy to read summary of a candidate. And the second thing is that there will be a automated context research so that they do not need to do it manually or repetitively and maybe spending hours reading, searching, understanding. And last but not least, they also hope to have an automated batch scoring so that they can improve their efficiency when doing the resume screening. And today, the workflows are built in the cloud, the SaaS version. Feel free to explore it. You can simply go to www.dify.ai and click Get Started to sign up or log in. And then here comes to our demo part. Give me a moment. I will switch my window for you to show. Yeah. So this is my first time demonstrating my workflow, and I've already shared it with the HR department in our company. And as a no-code user and no like technical background, I believe that you can also build this workflow. This workflow is a resume summarization that allows you to have a summary of this candidate resume, also with some explanation of the tech stack or maybe some glossary on it, so you do not have to search it one by one. Let's have a quick look here. There are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 notes on it. No worries, I'll break it one by one. And as you can see, there are notes on it, and you will receive this DSL as well. So the first one is the start note. After entering Dify, you can see pop up. There are 2 windows there, one called user input, the other one is trigger. You select user input, and then click here. I change it into upload resume. So in this process, we have to send the resume to AI. Here you have to choose single file here, because like for me, I like read slowly, so I just choose single file and then name your resume. So here I change the label name into upload resume to tell people that you have to upload resume here. And don't forget to choose document here. And here is the local upload, so that I can upload these resumes from my computer right away. Of course, you can choose URL or both. And don't forget to tick required. Otherwise, there's nothing coming in, so the AI can understand like what am I processing at the moment. Let me zoom in a little bit to make sure everyone can see clearly. So the second one is about extract information. actually is this node is called doc extractor. I changed the name here. So can you see? Yep. So for this one is to take out the text on the resume, like the one you've just uploaded, into a plain text. Since large language models cannot read the PDF or Word files directly. So in this step, we extract information from the resume we just uploaded. After selecting this one, connect with the first node, and then here we have to change the input variable into this one to make sure that this node has already received the resume uploaded before. And then this one is breakdown information. As you can see, we've already taken out the information of the resume. There are like a lot of them, and it is very inefficient if we put every information, dumping them into the search engine. You cannot get a very effective result. So here we have to break it down like a search list, just like the one you've done in the manual way. Instead of like one by one keyword, we divide them into a search list. And here comes the prompt. You can imagine you were talking like this node is serving as an AI assistant. You give it a role. For example, here I wrote a like a professional recruitment background check assistant. Feel free to name it if you have a better name. And then I tell its goal is to analyze the resume and extract the list of keywords based on these categories below. Feel free to add your categories if you have different requirements down below. And then I've already also added some constraints to make sure that this keyword list is useful and effective. Like only the keywords, not some other doesn't necessary information here. Of course, you can always add your constraints here to make it feel better. And this node is called the parameter extractor, like use LM to extract structured parameters from natural languages for tool invocations or HTTP requests. That sounds might be a little bit difficult, but you can take it as LM extracts keywords from the information, the text that we just extracted from the resume into a very nice and sweet search list so that you do not have to do it manually. And now it comes to this one, the iteration. Before that, here, as written on the screen, iteration, it performs multiple steps on the list object until all results are outputted. Let me say in this way. Imagine you've got a tomato. You have to slice this like one by one. And the question list, the keywords on the search list are like different tomatoes. And here we have to ask this node to help us do the same action to each tomato. That is to say, in this node, it searches the keywords we just extracted one by one. So you can say keyword one, tomato, slice, and then the next keyword, slice. So one keyword come in, we search it, and the second keyword comes in, we do the same searches again. And here I'm using the Tavli search because it is this is kind of the one I prefer. I tested. It's super intuitive. But if you're using this, you might need an API, but no worries. You can simply like go to their page and then sign up. Then you can get your API key here. And also there are different parameters here for you to choose. But for me, I choose basic here because we're kind of like searching on some glossary or company background information. So I just keep it into basic. And the topic may be general too. As for the days, I set it into 7 days. It depends on you. If you want to have like latest information, you can set it to 3 days as well. And then these things, I just keep them defaulted, didn't move it. So the match results here, I keep it into 5. You can also switch it to 3 or maybe 4 based on your budget. And I believe that, and I also attached a documentation files here for you to search, because Tavli got one that is pretty clear for you to understand like different parameters and how it helps with your searching result. And after searching these things, so far we've already got the search results on the resumes. So in this step, I've just divided into two LM. The first one, the summary, is here. I give it a row as well. This part is for a summarization of this candidate based on the extracted information we got. As you can see, I've also given it a role that you're a senior recruiter with 10 years of this experience and working on like screening resumes. And this is the task. I leave it to him. It is generate a concise candidate screening brief. Yeah, but here I asked it to not like may contain some technical definitions, but we've just searched them. This explanation will be put into another LM note, which I will explain later as well. So here, this note focused on summarization to make it a clear way for me to understand some highlight or performance, things like that. And here, this is the core responsibilities and also the recruiter verdict, things like that. Of course, I believe there are a lot of like professional recruiters here. You can feel free to add your different requirements here. And just remember the search results we have. Of course, we are not going to dump them away. Here is the glossary explanation. As you can see, the tag term searching result will be put it here so that like one node, they're working it, these two nodes are working it in a parallel way. The first summary is focusing on the extracted information on the resume of the candidate, while this glossary explanation is focusing on explanation of the tech stack or project names that you might not be familiarized with. So these are two nodes. And here comes to the final one. You have to combine these two nodes together to get this output summary. So you will have a summary of the candidate, and then you will have a tag terms explanation of this candidate. And after feel free to like add it on the instructions, aka the prompt in different nodes, and because you will receive these DSL files. And if you finish making this workflow, don't forget to click test run to make sure everything works. So here I'm going to click test run. I've already attached one testing resume here. Let me show you. It's a senior technical writer, blah, 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 information here. As you can see, the technical skills might be a little bit complicated for me to understand. So let's see how AI will help. So we click here and start run. And what I love Dify most is that everything comes in a visual way. Like now I can understand which node is working, whether it works well, and is there anything goes wrong? So how can I tune it? Oh, here it comes, the result. Hold on, let me track here. Yep, so basically it follows my instructions. Like the background information is the Jordan syntax, education, and these are the company like Stripe, the Taiwan tech company, and he's been working at Stripe for 2 years, and core responsibilities. And here is the tech explanations that I need. Like first one, docs as code. And personally, I love to use analogy to help me understand some tech stack. That might be fun, but if you do not like it, feel free to change it in the instructions of the node. And there's some like GraphQL and TMS, things like that. Yep. I believe that helps me a lot. And as you can see, we need like different instructions for different nodes. So how can you write a better prompt for AI? As for me, I will like draft by myself, but then I will ask some help from AI as well. And Shani, I just heard that she read a book about how to write prompt efficiently. So later, Shani will show you how to write efficient prompt or instructions for AI that helps you to build workflow easier. So now I'm going to invite Shani back. Hi, Shani. Hold on.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my microphone was muted for a second.
It's okay. So Shani, I'm going to add your workflow on the stage, and give me a second. Okay.
Perfect. So this is the workflow that I have constructed after some tweaking. The goal was to help HR individuals screen through resumes in batches a lot more effectively and a lot more efficiently. The workflow may seem a little bit convoluted, but you can imagine this essentially just as you start with a pile of resumes, like imagine in person you have a pile of resumes, and then you're iterating through the resumes with the same processes until you finish looking through all the resumes. And then finally, you're ranking the resumes based on how well they're performed to others, as well as your qualifications. The most important part of this entire workflow is the LLM node evaluate candidate right here. One of the hardest parts about prompt engineering is just figuring out what makes a prompt so strong. So today I really wanted to discuss what exactly makes prompting so efficient and why we should spend more time developing our skills in prompt engineering. And if you mind changing to the slides I have presented as well, we can take a quick stop at prompt engineering and diving more into that in our LLM workflows. Great. So we're trying to make prompt engineering something that's both beginner friendly and workflow ready. One book that I would really highly recommend, I'm still in the process of reading it, but AI Engineering by Chip Quinn is really great for breaking down what makes AI tick and how you can maximize your usage of AI in a way that's both effective and controlled. So the chapter that I'll be referring to often in this presentation is the prompt engineering chapter. Really great stuff for even if you're not a developer or if you're a super experienced developer, this book is really great. What exactly is the goal that we're looking at here? The goal is what we want as an outcome of the age of AI. So we want results that are reliable. We want results that are consistent. We want them digestible, evidence-based. But how do we get those results? Prompt engineering is a method for us to tweak the model without actually tweaking any of the code behind it. In Chip Quinn's words, prompting is the easiest and most common model adaptation technique. That means that whatever situation that you are in, the way you are prompting or asking your LLM to perform a task is how you can manipulate the results to be what exactly you demand from the model itself. What defines a reliable output? Whenever we want an output from an LLM model, whether that just be in general or within a Diffy workload, we want outputs that are repeatable, grounded, and structured. Repeatable means that with the same inputs, you are returned the same style of output and same structure. That allows you to take whatever output you have and use it in a future, maybe a future node in our workflow, or just extract it to wherever you want to put it outside of Diffy or in your daily lives. Next is grounded. The output should only be based on input text and evidence provided. We'll expand a little bit more on this later on in the presentation, but AI models have much data backing it. However, depending on the situation that you are in, you want the AI models to use the information that you have to make a grounded decision. Say you are an HR specialist. If you are using information from the web to dissect whether a resume is good or not, that may be unreliable because it's not information from the resume. You're not taking evidence from the context that you have. So we'll dive a little deeper into that when we get more specifically into prompting. But the last thing is structured. We want to make sure that the result of our LLM has no vague words, and the results are readable in either by human or by machine. Now I want to dive a little bit into prompt anatomy. What exactly goes into the prompt that we send to an LLM? The anatomy of a prompt has three main parts: the task description, the examples, and the task/context. Task description is the main part of the prompt. It describes what the model should do, what role it should act as, and what the output should look like. Some people also opt to add in a persona to meet these requirements. A persona is just telling the model what viewpoints to adopt. For example, if you tell the persona you are a careful evaluator versus you are a software engineer recruiter looking for specific skill set amongst your candidates, or you are a strict reviewer, any of these personas can be adapted by the LLM to better fit what you want as a result. It changes how the model makes trade-offs, whether it's strict on certain requirements or flexible, and detailed versus fast. The second part of the anatomy of a prompt are the examples. This is typically optional. However, examples do help determine what exactly is a good answer from an LLM. This is especially important when tasks can get very confusing. Example, if you are an HR specialist and you just are using an LLM to look through this resume specifically for one skill set. It is really helpful if you offer a good answer to be like, oh, a good answer could be, this person has experience in this project with Python, Java, and C++. So they are fitting these requirements, however, they do not fit these other requirements. This helps when the LLM is dealing with a lot of different types of information. It helps organize the answer into something that you actually want. The last part of the anatomy of a prompt is the task and context. As I mentioned before, the actual input of the model must be something that they can work on. So whether that be like the document you're looking at, the email, the ticket, the resume, the policy, all of these things are things that the LLM can use to determine their outcome that they're going to return to you. Without the proper context, there's a chance that the LLM will not return the output that you want just because it doesn't fully understand the situation at hand. So let's take a deeper look into how we distinguish these three parts of the prompts into our Diffy workflows. So we're going to take a look at the two layers of LLM prompting, system prompts versus user prompts. The system prompt is basically the model's permanent instruction manual. It decides how the model should behave in every time you run the model, no matter what input it receives. So what should go here includes the model's role, its persona, the scoring rubric that you want to look at, non-negotiable constraints, formatting requirements, all of the things that are reusable across many iterations of your LLM is what you should keep in the system. So whatever is consistent and reliable in your use case. The second part is the user prompt. The user prompt contains the context of the model that we should work on at the time. Earlier, I showed you a workflow very briefly that iterates through batches of resumes. So it takes one resume at a time, looks at that resume, evaluates the candidate, and then goes back to take another resume and do the same thing. What would go in the user prompt is the new resumes every single time that it's being screened. The actual input text is what goes into the user prompt. This user prompt is essentially the data, and it varies by person, by case, or per batch. Some other helpful information to take a note at while prompting in AI workflows include token cost and efficiency. So what exactly are tokens? Tokens are pieces of text that the AI reads or writes. This can be short words, which are usually one token, or longer words, which are usually multiple. Even punctuation and spaces count for these tokens. And why does this matter to you? You pay for input tokens, what you send to the LLM, and output tokens, what the LLM generates. More tokens equals more costs and slower responses. So it's a bit of a trade-off between how thorough you want your prompt to be. If you have very specific instructions, it'll be probably more costly than if your instructions were very vague. What is most important to keep in mind to keep these efficient is keep your prompts short but clear. If you have a lot of requirements, it is okay to use up more tokens to make sure you emphasize those requirements. However, you want to make things concise in order to reduce the cost overall. Let's remove any unnecessary text. If you are reiterating things for emphasis, that is fine, especially if it's the key rules at the beginning and end, but do keep in mind that tokens are being tracked every time you are using more words in your prompts. The rule of thumb with prompting is to be clear, to be explicit, and to always back with evidence. These three things will help you figure out what prompt is best for your situation and also reduce the cost overall. The most important part here, in my opinion, is backed with evidence. Context prevents hallucinations. So what exactly do we define as a hallucination? A hallucination is a confident piece of information the LLM generates that was not in the input. For example, if you inputted like Shani's resume and the LLM extracts data from its database that says, this project that Shani has never worked on is useful for this resume. Without the context of just focusing on my resume, the model can hallucinate, and it tries to make up for the lack of information with facts that are not necessarily applicable in that circumstance. So context defines exactly what a good resume means. So the rubric, the real input text, and everything that you have in your prompt are great contexts for making sure that everything is backed with evidence. Some more advanced knowledge that might also be helpful are workflow-ready outputs, iterations, and customization. So a JSON is a structured output that computers can read. In the case of iterating through resumes, that can be like the decision of whether or not a person is accepted, the evidence behind it, their scoring for their resume. This is all information that you can imagine, we might need to feed somewhere else, which is why we want to output it in JSON format so that another machine is capable of reading it. The schema is the blueprint for JSON. For example, the decisions must be one of accept, maybe, or reject. Scores must be 1 to 10, and evidence must be a list. This is all information that's not necessarily completely needed at this time, depending on your level of knowledge of LLMs, but it is great to keep in mind that you are able to structure the output of like an LLM node in your Dify workflow and use it later on in a way that is more applicable and more efficient. And I can show you a little hint in the later workflow that we're going to work at. So let's actually take a look at the real implementation. Anne, would you mind switching me back to my workflow? Perfect, great. So as you can see here, we have a similar start as Anne's workflows if you're following along, in that we have a couple of inputs. The only input before was a resume file. However, now we have job description and team context. The goal of this workflow is to allow an HR specialist or recruiter, someone who screens resumes, to look through a lot of resumes without having to expend a lot of energy, but still being able to specify what role that we want out of these resumes. The requirements for like a software engineering new grad might be very, very different than an ML engineer with 10 years of experience or senior level ML engineer. So what this workflow does is we extract the context from the resume, we clean up the text, and the node that I want to focus on today is the LLM node. So as you can see, sorry if the writing is a little bit small, but we have our context from the resume, the information of the resume that we previously cleaned in another node. By the way, clean just means we make the information a little bit more readable to a machine. Now we have our system prompt. We have our persona. You are an evidence-based technical recruiter screening software engineering new grad resumes. You must only follow these hard rules. These are rules that you can tweak depending on your personal requirements, but here's what I'd included. You must only use information from the resume text and profile text, must not infer any data. Every strength and concern must be supported with evidence from the resume, etc. The scoring rubric is also something that helps define what exactly is a good resume for the LLM. We're using integers 1 to 10, no decimals, 1 meaning there's weak evidence to support it, 5 meaning there's moderate, 10 meaning that there's excellent evidence. And finally, the output requirements, which is a JSON that contains all the keys included below. All of this sounds a little complicated, and I know that running through this without any technical background may be confusing, but I suggest taking some time to really break down like the three main parts of the system prompt itself. You just have the persona, the hard rules and scoring rubrics, and then the output. I like to reiterate the decision rule at the bottom just to ensure that what I want out of the LLM is focused on and emphasized. But the decision rule is essentially just, treat the minimum requirements of the job as a required source, and they must have the requirements. If not, that'll go into concerns. So that's something that I iterated before, but like to reiterate again. Looking at the user prompt, we have the context. So the job description, what job we're looking at, whether that be a new grad role or a maybe later career role, the context behind the team, the context behind the resume, and the JSON output that we do want to look at later on in different notes. And then finally, we have if the candidate's email appears in resume text or profile text, we essentially just store it and we make sure to return it as part of our JSON. This seems really confusing, I know, but the main idea of prompting is just you have to keep in mind that the LLM is not a person. You cannot assume that they'll make any correct inferences without your direct guidance. If anyone has any questions about prompting or the LLM workflow, please feel free to ask in the chat. I can make a really quick explanation of some of these other nodes, but honestly, if you're not super technical, this is not super important to you. The gate and finalize node is a code node that essentially just makes sure that we are correctly scoring every person resume who we're iterating through this workflow. And then the ranked candidate ranks the resumes in this batch. The last code node makes the information that we just returned readable. And finally, we output the list of ranked candidates that we have. It might be easier just to run through this as a workflow itself. So let's do a test run. I have a job description over here. We're pretending to be a company called LatticePay. And LatticePay is a financial infrastructure platform for businesses. The requirements about the team, LatticePay offers an interesting middle ground between joining startup and working at a multinational company. We have what you'll do, we'll have responsibilities, who we are, minimum requirements, and preferred qualifications, as well as in-office expectations. You can imagine this is a job posting on LinkedIn that you can basically copy paste. If you wanted to split it up a little, you could also send the team/role context in the optional input here. But I've uploaded a bunch of sample resumes that we can run this workflow with. So let's just start the run and see where we end up. So as Anne mentioned, it's really great that we're able to watch as the workflow is being iterated through, because we can see everything's working in the way that we want, or where the node gets stuck, where the workflow gets stuck, where maybe there's an error. And after this test batch was run on 4 different resumes, we have one resume that we want to advance, one resume that we might want to take a deeper look at, bring in a human to evaluate whether or not we want to continue with the interview process, and 2 rejects. So all of this output is all prompted in the LLM because we wanted to focus on certain things. For example, I mentioned that I really wanted strong programming skills in the relevant languages, and that's something that is an essential requirement for this job description. And as the people who do have that experience, we ranked pretty high, and the people that don't have that experience, we ranked pretty low. You can tweak your prompt in ways that are more adaptive to maybe not a software engineering role, maybe it's a finance role and you're looking for a specific skill or specific type of project. But prompting is a great way to essentially tweak the LLM model without actually having to change any weights of its coding or add any additional data to its training. Does anyone have any questions? All of this will be included in our package that we send out at the end of the webinar. But if we have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Shani, for your presentation. I feel like this is we have got 2 different resume screening assistants here. Mine will be you can go through a candidate's background information with some explanation in tag terms that helps you to give more understanding or a much more different angle of the candidate. While Shani's one will have much more efficient, since it's kind of like a batch resume screening thing. And And definitely, like, feel free to edit your prompt, and after that, we will send this two DSLs to you, because we believe that if you're professional recruiters, you have your sauce or your secret tips for resume screening. So feel free to add it here. And I will bring back my slides. So here, this is our Q&A part. Feel free to leave your questions in the YouTube chat box if you have any. And let's see, we've collected some of them. I will pick one to respond. Give me a second. Do we have any questions? Yeah. There are like people asking that how to build RAG, how to build RAG agents in Dify here. So Shani, do you have any response or answers to these questions?
Well, I think that's a little bit more of a complex instruction. We might do it in a future webinar, but take a look at the Diffy documentation and I'll help you guide along the path of what exactly you want to build. So it really depends on what you're trying to build out with RAG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember now there are like two ways of using it. The first one is like upload your knowledge directly in the knowledge. And second thing, you can like start building a knowledge pipeline. Feel free to explore now documentation. Maybe our moderator will send the documentation link on the YouTube chat box, or you can search it in our blog as well. And then the second question is how Dify can automate the process from the signups. I believe that during the demos we've just presented, you can see how Dify helps to automate the task. For example, take my AI assistant as an example. I use the iteration node to do the searches in it. So you do not have to do it one by one. You simply connect the nodes and then Tavly, and then the iteration will help to search these keywords. As for Shani.
Well, my workflow was pretty similar, I'd say. It just involved a loop that looped through multiple resumes so that we could automate. We don't have to do it like one by one screen resumes. The easiest way to figure out what the best automation is for your team is just figure out what do you think takes a lot of time that you don't think should. So if it's like, oh, we have so much documentation that we don't have time to iterate through, or if we have this much information we don't have time to sort, can we build a workflow to make that happen? And if so, what are the steps to do that? So automation really just depends on what your team needs and what your team has to handle at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Shani, I also got a question for you. Could you please repeat the book name again? I'm super interested in that. I super appreciate what you've done during in the presentation thing. I remember you have to keep your prompt concise and make your instructions clear so that you do not spend much tokens, things like that. So what was the book name again?
Yeah, the book is AI Engineering by Chip Huen. Huen spelled Huyen. And this is essentially talking about building applications with foundation models. Some of the information is a little bit more technical. If you're very interested in the research behind ML, this book will be great for that. But there are also many chapters that are very suitable for people like you and me who maybe don't have as much research experience in ML. But super great read, would recommend.
Thank you so much. And if we do not have questions and answers, we will move forward to our next session. What's next? So as you can see, Shani and I have been doing the online webinar. And do we have some offline events coming, Shani?
We do. We're planning our first offline event in the United States, which will be held in San Francisco. And right now, we are looking for potential people to spotlight during our event. So if you have a really cool workflow that you've built, either for yourself or for your company, please feel free to email me at shani@diffy.ai. I would love to set up a call to speak with you about your current implementations with Dify and just to see, what are you interested in? What are you building? And why is Dify helping you on that journey?
So if you're interested in sharing build with Dify, feel free to send or sign up. Send it to Shani's mailbox. Could you please reply repeat your mailbox again?
Yes, of course. It's shani@diffy.ai.
Yeah, got it. I would just post it in the chat box. Yeah, if you're interested in, feel free to join us, and we cannot wait to meet you guys in the San Francisco. And as for the online webinar, our next webinar will be focusing on building your AI creator OS with Dify. One of our expert in Dify will share like how to use Dify to work as an AI blogger or vlogger, and how Dify helps you to parse or collect this information online, giving you some new ideas to present or making videos in a more efficient way. Yup, I guess that webinar will be released in early February, so stay tuned. Don't forget to sign up our Luma calendar, which will be shown in the YouTube chat box as well. Feel free to subscribe our Luma calendar and never miss another online event or offline event with Dify. Yep. And I guess this is the end of our online webinar. We sincerely hope that you learn or having a much more broader understanding and knowing how to transfer your SOP or your daily routine into a workflow in Dify. And these DSLs and also the slides and instructions will be sent to you right after we finish this webinar into your mailbox. So feel free to check it. And don't forget to click. There are 5 faces there to clip your impressions about this webinar. And feel free to leave your thoughts, what kind of topic you would love to see in our next webinar. And I guess that's it. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We cannot wait to see you next time. Bye, everyone.